All right, so this will just be a quick little interview. I'm just going to ask you a handful of questions. Do you mind being recorded?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Do you mind just stating your name for the interview?
Stacy.
And your occupation?
I am a special education teacher.
So all the questions are going to be about COVID.
Oh, triggering.
So the first question is, what's your biggest COVID revelation or realization?
That it is as bad as I said it was.
Right now I work for South Coast Physicians Group, which is an entity of South Coast Health, and I work in quality and safety as a nurse.
And you had Kaya during COVID, right, the baby?
Yeah, I had Kaya during COVID, but when I was pregnant for her, I worked at the health center and clinic. So we were, in that role, I was a nurse manager, and I had direct patient care.
When you first found out that we were going into lockdown, like, what were your thoughts?
First, it was more of a joke to me because while it wasn't in the US, people were just kind of joking about it, saying it could never come here. But I think once it did come here and once we had to lock down and take action, it was kind of like a panic of how long this would last. What does this mean? Could I get it? Could I get sick from it? So I think it was just a panic, and then we just stayed in our house for months.
Well, I was scared. I was absolutely scared. I remember the day being in school and hearing that all these places were shutting down, and I was so scared to not know what was happening, and then to know that you had to still go to work and my husband still had to go to work, and it was very scary not knowing that unknown piece of COVID.
Like 1 week we were just going in with our scrubs and no mask, and then the next week we were gowned up, and I was like, are we, in my head at first I'm like, is it this serious? Are we don't get it? And we were doing temperature checks at the door and stuff, and I'm just I think the doctor's office I worked for handled it really well, because when it started to get a little bad towards the end of March, beginning of April, we shut our doors completely, and we finally learned. The doctor had us, the younger kids, teach her a lot about Zoom and stuff like that, and telehealth, telemedicine.
So what do you think about the idea of the essential worker, and whose work do you think is most essential?
Who's to say that everyone isn't essential? Teachers are essential. Firefighters are essential. I think every individual is an essential worker because we're all out doing something that is important. And without every single worker, you have nothing.
I mean, I'm I'm out there putting yogurt on the shelves, and I'm an essential worker.
Yeah, but you know what? These kind of situations that make you realize what's really important, because at the end of the day, we all need food, we all need water, we all need our roof over our heads. Those are the basic life necessities that we take for granted every day. So just because some people think that we all need each other, and as essential workers absolutely need to be given the credit. And yes, even though healthcare workers are essential in a different way that grocery workers are essential, we all still need each other.
There's definitely different levels of essentialness. Charlie's been working from home and it's been totally fine. Nothing about his job has changed. But there was no way I could do Ivy Street from home. Someone had to go take care of something. And everyone was like, well, just send them home to their parents. And I'm like, they don't have parents. They don't have anybody. They're government children. What are you gonna do? Somebody has to go take care of them. But I also got emotional. I was looking at Snapchat memories of sidewalk art that kids did outside my apartment. that were like thank you essential workers, and like the church has the thank you essential workers sign, and like I know it's just like lip service, but like it did help. I was like, because like at some point like I was like, shit, like this is really serious and people are getting really sick and I really like still have to go to work.
Yeah.
And it was like nice to have like places being like thank you essential workers, you know. All right, easy one. Pick a side. Right in the middle. You gotta move, buddy. Go that way, go this way, go this way.
At the end of the day, we've never really dealt with something like this in today's day and age. They compare it to the flu, the Spanish flu, and different things like that. But, we're young kids. You're 18, I'm 21. We've never dealt with anything like this. And I think in the age of like information overload and how digital everything's become, that there's just so much information and everything's been construed a million different ways. And I feel like a lot of people just don't know what to believe and which way to get their information and stuff like that. So for me personally, I'll take everything with a grain of salt.
What are some insights that COVID has offered you?
Definitely not to take anything for granted. We've lost a lot of people that are close to us through COVID. I think that, again, it just all relates back to spending time with people. You just can't take anything for granted. You have to think of what's important to you and just let it be. And it is, life's important.
What are some insights that COVID has offered you?
That life can be pretty simple. I don't have to have so much stuff or do so much stuff.
I feel like everything's so digital, everything's so quick, and there's so many expectations as to, getting things done, that it's like we forget that, okay, you can take a little bit of time. You can not even lollygag, but just, go smooth and consistent. You don't have to be bang, 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 especially when you're not going anywhere.
It's been an emotional year for everybody. You read about somebody dying that shouldn't have died, and you feel it personally, and then you worry about your friends and your family, and then not being able to see certain people. Like I can't see my brother, and last time I talked to him, he said, I hope we get to see each other again, because he's not young. And that was painful. That was a tough one. And I think that is that's what it means to be human. You worry about things that you didn't worry about before.
My COVID revelation was that I went for a year without seeing people, right?
Right.
And then I went out for a weekend and saw some people, and I got manic, and I was like, holy shit, social is stress. It was good stress always, but it's I didn't realize how
much it takes to be around people.
Yeah. Then even if it's good and fulfilling and an exciting time, I was like, damn, I didn't realize how much energy and responsiveness in my own head was happening when I socialized.
We were all very lonely at the beginning of this. Me and you would meet up for our sunsets and whatever. Yeah. And our friends outside of whatever. So I think that's one way you realize our mental health is probably a lot more important than we realize. A lot of people don't realize that. I feel like even doctors take physical health more seriously than mental health, but I think mental health took a huge hit during COVID, and people started to realize oh, maybe this is kind of a bigger issue.
Maybe positives and negatives of the whole thing, but there's definitely been, I feel personally, more negatives of the way school has been working, in particular, just away from being at home.
I think it's easy to get lost.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get lost when you're at home.
I find it funny that how we went from
in person, seeing face to face, and then like seeing someone you used to see like every day through like a computer screen or like a phone screen. I just think it's so like weird. Like that switch just happens so fast.
Yeah, I think the big thing, I never know where to put my eyes, whether I look at you, whether I look at me, I look at the time, you know, I'm always darting around the screen and that distracts me, so.
Yeah, I always lose like track during class. I'm like, wait, what just happened? I was looking at him and I was looking at her and then I was looking at me.
So like, how has COVID affected your sense of self?
Because I was by myself for so long, I kind of just found things to keep myself company, new hobbies and stuff.
I obviously saw firsthand how you changed the quarantine. Do you think that was because of COVID? You don't think that would have happened if COVID didn't happen?
Yeah, I think the quarantine just gave me time to just find new things that I was interested in.
I think it's kind of made me realize, like, her and I have been alone a lot, you know, like we haven't, like I said, like some family members still haven't even met her or held her, since she was born because of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's kind of
so
crazy.
it kind of just changes your perspective on that dynamic.
We have to learn to take care of ourselves. And I think a lot of us have had a lot of time to think about how we don't do self-care. And that is so big.
There are people out there that are vulnerable and need to be taken care of regardless of a pandemic or not. Like, there's no stopping taking care of like vulnerable populations.
I've learned that being human requires a lot of relies on community, and that it's pretty easy to lose sight of that.
What I would like to see in the future is I would like for countries, especially like the US, to look inward and be like, you know, all the things that we did wrong, like politicizing a virus and just not educating people. I think they need to go back and look at school and decide where we went wrong, where we let people kind of like fall away and not have like the information to be able to make decisions on their own when they have to just rely on somebody else to make a decision for them. I feel like that had to start young.
As an educator, this has definitely been the hardest year and a half of teaching. It has definitely affected how we teach, what we teach, and we feel a lot of guilt on those students that we feel that we failed, even though we've done everything we can to keep them on target with schooling. Having students learn at home is very different than having students learn in the building, as it is very different to teach at home than teach in the building. So as a teacher, it's definitely taken its toll on how I feel as an educator, and that joy that you get close to the end of the year and you see all that success. This year is a very different year. You know, we have students that have failed, and I feel that I have failed them, and that's a really hard pill to swallow at the end of the day.
What is your ideal future? What do you want to do when you're older? And has COVID like affected that in any, like, has COVID changed what your ideal future was before all this?
I think COVID will always be something that I would remember before I do anything. Now I think it's always just going to be part of my life in the future.